There was one other big piece of news that happened on Tuesday that you did not get a chance to talk about. It was the Carson Wentz trade that sent Carson Wentz and a second-round pick to the Washington Commanders in exchange for a second-round pick in this year's draft, a third-round pick in this year's draft, and a third-round pick in next year's draft. Oh man, Aaron, this was something that you're probably buzzing on, right? This trade, and I want to repeat something I said before you even go. And I'm sorry, I got to say this. What you just talked about, and what we just talked about with this Denver Broncos team getting Russell Wilson. I said this on Wednesday. I'll say this again. The Denver Broncos are close to being a Super Bowl team. They're close to being a real deal contender. All they needed was a quarterback. That statement was true. The Washington Commanders say that they are one quarterback away, but they're really not one quarterback away. And you're damn sure not a one quarterback away, and your solution being the Band-Aid of Carson Wentz. Proceed, Aaron. I'm sorry. The floor is yours.
Don't be sorry. You said it perfectly. And even if we want to buy into it, that they're one quarterback away, let's say they're one quarterback away. This ain't it. Carson, listen, I keep saying this to everybody. When are teams going to learn? You're in Philadelphia. You don't like being coached. You're mad because you got benched for Nick Foles and he won a Super Bowl, and now you can't handle all the pressure and people talking about you. So you ask to get out. You get traded to the Colts with that $100 million contract. You go back to a guy that said, you go with your coordinator, the only coordinator that you were successful with in Frank Reich, the best offensive line in football, arguably, the number one running back in football, a top defense, and you didn't make the playoffs. And the first thing you can't handle is the scrutiny that comes from your performance of Jacksonville the last week of the season, a 4.3 quarterback rating or whatever it is, QBR.
Go Jags.
And then you're not happy now. And then now all the reports come out as you weren't coachable. Your leadership sucked. When are teams going to learn that a zebra does not change its stripes? You think he's going to go to Washington, a dysfunctional franchise that hasn't had a quarterback there since I don't know, Mark Rippon? I mean, they've never had a quarterback there, and now you're going to go to this franchise and expect it to change? On Wednesday, AJ said that Washington won this deal. There's no way in hell Washington won this deal. The compensation, number one, they got rid of the contract, which helps. The second round pick, they swapped second round picks. Obviously, the Colts will be the pick will be a little bit higher. The third round pick, free pick, and then the second round pick, if he plays 70% of the games, it's going to be a second round pick. That would be a win. If he doesn't play 70% of the games, guess what? It's still a win because he's not on the field. So Washington's taking another loss.
Yep.
To me, Washington would have been better off keeping Taylor Heineke over Carson Wentz. And I'm not joking about that. Carson Wentz is not it. He is not it. He's proven that over the past 3 or 4 seasons. This is very disappointing to watch. Welcome back to the NFC East. I love it as a Cowboy fan, but it's disappointing to see teams that continue to give a guy like this chances when there's other quarterbacks out there that haven't had their second chance and were just as successful as Carson Wentz, a la Mitchell Trubisky. Why not just wait and sign Mitch Trubisky? To me, at least he's going to give you the mental toughness dealing with what he dealt with in Chicago, where Carson Wentz has not. I think it's atrocious. I think it's a bad deal. And Washington's going to be in the same situations they've been in. So I expect them to draft a quarterback still. And if they Washington's going to be right where they've been.
And when you get into it, just simplify it here, ladies and gentlemen. Just simplify it. The Colts are a better team around the quarterback position than the Washington football team. You got you have the number one running back in the NFL, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Your wide receivers, sure, you might give that a slight edge to Washington just because it's one Terry McLaurin versus one Michael Pittman. That's the edge. But then everything else around him is just it's Indianapolis, and he couldn't do it in Indianapolis. So why is he the answer in Washington? It does not make any sense.
Even the defense that we last year said, they're going to be so great in Washington, wasn't very good. And then today reports come out that Landon Collins was asked to take a pay cut that he agreed to. that he agreed to the first pay cut. They decide to trade for Carson Wentz. They go to him again, say, we need you to take another pay cut. And he says, nah. And so they release him, and now he's a free agent. So you get rid of one of the better safeties in football to bring in Carson Wentz, who's a leader, or not a leader compared to other quarterbacks, and that have been complained about by teammates, by coaches. It just makes no sense. It just goes to show once again the Washington franchise. You can change your name, but you're still the same franchise.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and they had the 11th pick in the draft. Like, I get it. Seattle now moves ahead of you. They want a quarterback.
Why not trade for Jimmy Garoppolo?
Anything. Well,
Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Carson Wentz. You want to know why? Because when AJ talked about game managers, Jimmy Garoppolo is a game manager. Yeah. Carson Wentz is not a game manager. Carson Wentz is a game thrower. He can throw you out of a game. He can throw you in a game. Like, he does have the talent, but he throws you out more than he throws you in. Jimmy Garoppolo just can't make big plays, but he can manage a game. We've watched him go to a Super Bowl. We've watched him go to an NFC Championship game and be successful when you put everything perfect around him. Everything was perfect around Carson Wentz last year, and they didn't make the playoffs. Like, they did not make the playoffs. I don't know how much more evidence they need. He's the first quarterback since Sam Bradford to be traded in 3 consecutive years or 2 consecutive years.
Not a good look. Not a good look.